Hi, and welcome to Code Tutorials. In this video, we'll be taking a look at the highlighted text block, which is part of our key blocks for Gutenberg Premium plugin. Right now, we're on the page that has several examples of how you can use and style this block. As you can see, the name is extremely telling. The highlighted text block allows you to create chunks of text where parts of the text or certain words within it will be highlighted. While seemingly simple, this block comes with a wealth of stylization options that will turn your text content into attention-grabbing page elements. Moreover, you can combine it with any of the other blocks in the key blocks for Gutenberg collection to create whatever design you imagine. So, all that sounds great, but how do you use it? Well, let's take a look. Head over to the back end. Here I prepared the page that I will be working in. Now I just need to add the right block to it. You can add a block to the page by clicking here. It opens the block selection. There is a search function at the top, but you can also scroll down to browse through all your blocks. And this view does show all the blocks you have on your site. So here you'll find all of Gutenberg's native blocks, as well as key blocks, which you can recognize by the reddish pink icons. The top section will contain the premium key blocks, and the bottom will show the free blocks. And you can pick your block out from here, simply drag it over to the page. However, let me close this, another way to add blocks. And this second way might be more useful once your page is filled with smaller sections, multiple columns, and complex structures. And it includes clicking on this black plus sign button on the page. It shows a handful of blocks, but more importantly, it has a search function. Start typing the block's name, and there. When it appears, click on it to select, and then it will automatically be added to the page. Now, this is what the block looks like by default. It contains some dummy text with one of the words from it highlighted as an example. To start customizing the highlighted text block, the first thing you should do is replace the dummy text. That's done on the page. Simply erase the existing text and start typing in your text content. Give me a moment while I do this. Okay, here we are. Once you have your text ready, you can select the part of it that you want to highlight. Then, in these options that hover over the block, click on this icon here. It will highlight the text selection. And then the text I wanted to highlight, if I click away, we can see it's still marked and it stands out. And other than highlighting the text, we can do a couple more things in the options above the block. For example, we can make a part of the text bold. That's the B icon. And next to it, we also have this forward slash that can make the text italic. Also, if you want to highlight multiple sections, then simply repeat the same steps we used earlier. Select the text and click on the highlight icon. Okay, let me undo this. There. So those were the hover or floating options. But we can find more if we switch over to this sidebar. These are the block editing options, and they are divided into 3 tabs. The first is content. Within it, we have options dedicated to setting up an appear animation. This is the amount of time between us reaching the element on the page and the highlight appearing over the text. It's disabled by default, but if we switch its setting to yes, then we'll get an effect that makes it look like the text is being highlighted right now. I'll switch it off and back on again so we can see it one more time. And there, the highlighted text seems like it's being marked in real time. Now, if you plan to use the appear animation, then you can affect its timing using the appear delay option. We saw the default setting. That one has the animation appearing immediately, with 0 delay. However, we can also make the delay random. As its name suggests, that one will add a random amount of milliseconds to create a delay. As it's random, the number you end up with can differ from one instance of the highlighted text block to the next one. Finally, we can choose to set milliseconds, and then we'll get an option allowing us to input a precise number of milliseconds we want for the delay. If I replace the default 100 with 1000, then the animation will take a touch longer to appear. Don't forget, we're dealing with milliseconds. So if I halve this number, the effect will still appear very quickly. That's because we're dealing with a second and half a second. Alright, I don't plan on using an appear animation, so I'll restore the delay to default and the appear animation to disabled. Okay, that's that. Underneath, we have the advanced section. It contains only one option, the additional CSS classes. This is where you can create a specific class for this element, and then you can use that class and refer to your element when creating CSS that would style it. And that is all we have in the Content tab. Moving on to the Style tab. The first thing we can change here is the text alignment. By default, it's set to the left. You can see nothing has changed, but you can replace this with right. You can see that the text leans on the right side now. Or we can choose to put the text in the center. I'll be keeping it set that way for my design. Under that, we have two sub-tabs. One contains the options for the text and the other for the highlight. Let's go through the text options first. Here we have the text tag, which we can use to replace the default paragraph tag with any of the heading tags in this dropdown. I plan to use H1. There we go. Following that, we have the text color option, which we can use to change the color of the non-highlighted text. Don't worry, there's a different option for the highlighted text. We'll take a look at it later. For now, let me reset this and we'll carry on. Our next option is text typography, and it is, in fact, a collection of different settings. It includes things like the font family. There are hundreds of fonts that you can choose from. Then there's the font size option if we want to make the text bigger or smaller. After that, there's the weight option, which has all these settings that let us adjust the font weight for the text and make it light or bold or anything else we like. Next, there's the transform option, which can be used to change the text to, for example, uppercase, or whichever one of these settings you like. Then we have the style option for changing the look of our text by using one of the settings here. After that, the decoration can be used to add a line under, over, or through the text. And finally, the line height and letter spacing options can help us sort out any spacing issues. And that's all we have in the text typography options. With that, we also wrapped up the text sub-tab. So let's switch over to the highlight sub-tab. The first option here is for changing the color of the text under the highlight. Let me show you. If I set something, there, only the highlighted text has changed colors. The rest of it remains the same. Besides using the slider to set the color, we can use the input field to enter a specific color code. Click here to make it editable. I want to use a plain white color, so I'll type in the hex code for it. There we go. Alright. Next, we have the highlighted text background color option. Basically, it lets us change the color of the highlight. It's easy to see when I try to change it. I have a specific color in mind for this as well, so give me a sec to add the right hex code. Okay, perfect. After that, we have the highlight top and bottom offset options. With the top offset, we can adjust how far over the text top or above it our highlight will reach. You can eyeball it with the slider or enter a specific value, which is what I'm going to do. I'll put 8 pixels here. And the bottom offset does the same, only for the bottom part of the text and the space under it. You can see how the color shifts here at the bottom. For the value here, I'll set 6 pixels. Alright, there we go. Finally, we have the highlight padding option. We can use it to create padding around the highlighted text, which would increase the highlight coverage. Let me show you. I'll add some padding to the right side, so pay attention to the space here. I'll put 15 pixels. And there. We now have an extra 15 pixels of empty space covered by the highlighter color. I'll do the same for the left side so we can see it. And now we have another 15 pixels of space on the left end of the highlighted text. So that's just to give you an idea of what you can do. My design doesn't include the highlight padding, so I'll just clear these settings. Okay, and that's virtually it for the highlighted text block options. We only have one tab left, Advanced. This is something you get with every one of the key blocks for Gutenberg. And the options here serve to set how an individual block will look and act on the page. For example, we have responsiveness and motion effect settings here. While these options are undoubtedly useful as they can help you adjust the block positioning, background, border, and more, they affect blocks as a whole. They aren't specific to the highlighted text block, so we won't be covering them in this tutorial. The only thing I want to do here is adjust my block's padding. And I'll do that by switching to percentages, which will help the text adjust more easily to different screen widths. And then I'll set 9% to both the right and the left side. As you can see, this has boxed in my text and compacted it closer to the center of the page. And with that, my element is done. This is the design I was working towards. I'll just hit update to save my work. So now you've seen how the highlighted text block works behind the scenes, what options it has, and how to use them. With what we've covered in this video, you should be ready to start creating chunks of highlighted text for your own site. And if you need some design inspiration, you'll always be able to find some ideas on the page dedicated to this block. Whether you use it on its own, as I did, or combine it with others from the Key Blocks for Gutenberg collection, there is no limit to what you can create. And if you have any questions after watching this video, or comments or suggestions you'd like to make, please drop us a line in the comments section below. Also, make sure to subscribe to our channel and be the first to learn about any new tutorials and theme guides. Thank you for watching.